From prince to traitor. The tragic story of Absalom. A father and a son. There are few wounds deeper than betrayal, and none sharper than betrayal from your own child. He was born into royalty, raised in a palace, loved by a king. His name was Absalom, the son of King David. Handsome, charismatic, admired, and remembered forever as the prince who tried to steal a kingdom. This is not just a story of rebellion. It is a story of pride, revenge, ambition, and a father who wept too late. Act 1. The Beautiful Prince. Absalom was the third son of King David. The scriptures say something unusual about him. From the top of his head to the sole of his foot, there was no flaw in him. His hair was legendary, long, thick, royal. When he cut it once a year, it weighed like treasure. But beauty can be a dangerous gift, because admiration feeds something. And Absalom was admired. The people noticed him, and he noticed that they noticed. Act 2. The violation that changed everything. The turning point did not begin with ambition. It began with injustice. Absalom's sister, Tamar, was violated by their half-brother, Amnon. The crime shattered the palace. Tamar was left desolate, and Absalom burned with silent rage. David did nothing. The king was angry, but he did not act. And in that silence, something dark began to grow inside Absalom. For 2 years he waited. Then he invited Amnon to a feast. Wine flowed. Laughter filled the air. And at Absalom's command, Amnon was killed. Revenge had spoken. And it would not be the last time. Act 3. Exile and return. After the murder, Absalom fled. 3 years in exile. 3 years away from Jerusalem. 3 years for bitterness to harden into ambition. Eventually, he was allowed to return, but he was not permitted to see the king, not his father. For 2 more years, Absalom lived in Jerusalem, unforgiven, unrestored, unfinished. Rejection is dangerous when pride is already wounded. Finally, David summoned him. They embraced, but something was broken, and it would never fully heal. Act 4. Stealing hearts. Absalom did not declare rebellion immediately. He prepared. He rose early, stood at the city gate, where disputes were brought to the king when people came seeking justice. Absalom intercepted them. He listened. He sympathized. He whispered, "If only I were judge in the land." He told them they deserved better, that David was too distant, too busy, too old. And slowly, the hearts of Israel shifted. The Bible says it plainly. Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. Rebellion doesn't begin with swords. It begins with influence. Act 5. The declaration. After 4 years of preparation, Absalom made his move. He went to Hebron, sent secret messengers throughout the tribes, and at the sound of the trumpet, they declared, "Absalom is king in Hebron." It happened suddenly, but it had been planned for years. David was caught off guard. The people were divided, and Jerusalem trembled. Act 6. The king flees. David fled his own city. The warrior king who once defeated Goliath now walked barefoot, weeping, his head covered, his throne abandoned, betrayed not by enemies, but by his son. As David crossed the Kidron Valley, he left behind power, but he did not lose faith. He refused to kill Absalom if possible, even in rebellion. He was still his son. Act 7. A kingdom at war. Civil war tore through Israel. Absalom entered Jerusalem, sat on David's throne, surrounded himself with advisors, some loyal, some deceptive. Meanwhile, David gathered his men, veterans, warriors, men forged in battle. The inevitable clash approached, and it would take place in a forest. Act 8, the forest of Ephraim. The battle was fierce, but the forest fought harder than the soldiers. The trees tangled horses, branches caught armor, and in the chaos, Absalom fled on a mule. He rode beneath the thick branches of an oak tree, and his famous hair, the pride of his beauty, caught in the branches. The mule kept running. Absalom hung suspended, helpless. The prince who stole hearts, now trapped by his own glory. Act 9, the end of the rebel. David had commanded, "Deal gently with the young man Absalom." But war does not always obey mercy. Joab, David's commander, found him hanging, and he made a choice. 3 spears, and the rebellion ended. Absalom was buried in a pit, covered with stones. The prince who sought a throne found a grave in the forest. Final act, a father's cry. When David heard the news, he did not celebrate victory. He wept. "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would I had died instead of you." The kingdom was restored, but the family was shattered. Power returned, but peace did not. And that is how the story ends. Not with triumph, but with grief. Final line. Pride builds kingdoms quickly, but it destroys them quietly.